In today's video, we're going to fix a color mistake, and we're going to start right now. Hey guys, welcome to PencilStash. I'm Rachel. PencilStash is your one-stop shop for everything adult coloring related. Here we do tips, tricks, tutorials, product reviews, etc. And if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Today we're going to be doing another page from Romantic Country's Second Tale, my new favorite coloring book. And today, well, I screwed up. I made a color choice mistake, and I'm going to show you how I fixed it. So let's get to it. So today we're going to do another page from Romantic Country's Second Tale, and of course I picked a page with a house. I love the architectural detail pages, so I'm kind of drawn to these. But this one's of a cute little cottage and kind of a walkway in front of it, some cute little landscaping around the back, and then some equipment here on the front porch. I just think it's adorable, and I'm especially drawn to this roof. This is one of those kind of Spanish tile roofs where it's got the curved individual tiles, and this is just screaming paint me blue. I don't know why, it just speaks to me to paint it blue. So that's what I'm going to do, and I've decided to start with my indigo blue, and of course I got my test page right next to me, and I have decided on the indigo as my darkest blue. And because I think that the way that the light would hit this roof, I'm going to leave the lightest spot down the center of the spine of each individual tile. And then it's going to get darker as it goes into the creases between each tile and then towards the back where they kind of overlap and sit on top of each other. So I'm going to paint in sort of an upside down U or an N shape, horseshoe shape, around each of these individual tiles. And this is kind of my first layer, and of course I'm big on layering, so this is just the first part. And I've sped it up for you just to show you because this is a big roof. I think this roof alone took me a couple of hours to do, probably at least 2 hours, between all of the layers. So I'm going to put this layer down first. And again, you just want to make sure that you're thinking about where the light's hitting each of the individual elements as you color. And our shadows are really going to be heavily between those tiles. So next I'm actually switching to a Blick Studios color, and this one's indigo blue as well, but it's a little bit lighter. And I am going to take this blue and I'm going to have it sort of act as my transition between the lightest highlight down the spine of each tile and again have it be that transition color between it and the darkest. And when I blend it, it's going to come out very nice and smooth in its transition, but right now it's going to look a little bit rough until I go back in with that blender. And I'm speeding it up for you guys just to cover a little bit more ground. My hand kept cramping up as I was doing this. The same motion over and over again, repetitive, just made me have very stiff fingers after this roof was done. All right, now I'm going to go back in with my black. And even though I've used that dark blue, I think there will definitely be areas where it will be very dark in the shadow lines. So I'm going to go down each individual crease and add a little bit of black where I think that it would shadow the most. Now I'm going to take my colorless blender pencil. It's a Prismacolor PC1077. And I'm again going to leave that white space, so I haven't filled that in with a color, because as I use my blender, it's actually going to push the pigment into that white space, causing it to be my highlight. And if you see what it's doing here, I'm sort of starting at the top with that black into the darker blue, into the lighter blue, and I'm just sort of going up and down with my pencil, and it's pushing those pigments into that center space. But it is still kind of maintaining that nice light highlight that I'm looking for. And of course, we're not going to be done after this. We need to add in lots more layers. So this is just another step in the process. But I really like how the black added so much dimension to what we got going on here. So now I'm going to actually take this green color, and I'm just going to kind of dirty up the roof. Like, nothing is perfect, especially on a house. So I'm going to take this green color, I'm just going to add a little bit of what could be like moss or some, whatever it might be, up on this roof to kind of dirty it up. And I'm going to do the same with just a little bit of different shadow element with this other Blick Studios dark blue. Because if that roof looks a little bit too consistent, it's not going to have a realistic feel. So I'm just picking some random spots. And I'm going to go back in again with my black. And I'm actually doing sort of a cross-hatched, like diagonal line. If you see, it's real clear right now what I'm doing. I'm just putting in a shadow of All right, now I'm going to take my blue indigo, my Prismacolor blue indigo, and I'm going to do the same technique on the roof tiles as that black. I'm going to do sort of a left to right diagonal texture across the entire tile. And it's going to be light and subtle, but it's going to give this roof just a lot of texture. And I'm going to go over all of them, and hopefully you can see that level of detail. When it's all done, it'll really pop. Onto the brick facade, and this one actually really reminds me of the two stone walls that we did in our Manor series video. And I'm really just going to layer a bunch of grays on top of one another kind of haphazardly, just to sort of mimic the color variation that's in natural stone. So I'm going to start with this warm gray, and I'm just going to again sort of be choosy with kind of where I'm placing the color, darkest kind of around the edges, a little bit in the middle. Just make them each different, because no brick is alike, and they're probably not going to be very smooth. So they're going to have a little bit of jagged lines, kind of coming off of them, and the light's going to hit them differently. So just make sure that they're all a little bit different and have their own voice. Now it's time to fill in the mortar in between the bricks, and I've chosen this putty beige color, and this is actually a new color for me. I picked it up open stock at the art supply store recently, and I'm just kind of putting a nice flat even layer in between these bricks, and upon first sight I'm actually a little bit disappointed with this color. You know, on my test page it seemed a little bit lighter than it's kind of coming out, so I'm lightening up my pressure to see if I can get a little bit different look out of this, but it's not quite what I was looking for. I wanted a lighter, kind of whitewashed kind of look on this house. I didn't want it to be so dark. So I just want to throw out there that we all make color mistakes, including me, and I'm kind of putting this one in the color mistake category. So it doesn't look bad, but it's not quite what I was hoping for. So I have an idea on how to fix it, but I really think that I should kind of finish it out, see how I like it, let it simmer for a little while, see if it's something that, you know, maybe grows on me, but I have an idea and I'll try it out at the very end. So if I decide to go that route, stick with me till the very end and we can together kind of see how it comes out. Now I'm actually taking a darker gray and I'm just going to go into some of the nooks and crannies and crevices and darkening up some of these areas. So again, you know, the house isn't going to be nice and pristine. It's going to have areas where the light's hitting it a little bit differently. And especially with the shadows of all of this stuff on the front porch. So if we just left it how it was, it would look a little flat and not have a three-dimensional quality. So we're actually going to take this dark gray and we're going to put a shadow on the bottom left-hand corner of most of these areas. And I don't know why it's just sort of the default way that I color, but I always imagine my light source from the upper right. So our shadow would be on the bottom left. And so if you see how I'm just doing a nice light sort of outline on the outside of some of these areas, it really makes them pop off of that stone. And you definitely get more of an effect that it's in front of the stone, casting a shadow and not just a flat two-dimensional drawing. let's start on the woodwork. And again, this was something that I covered in the Manner series, but my approach to woodwork is really just to sort of work with what the artist gave you. So I outline the edges, and then I actually take those horizontal lines there that the artist has given us, and I just outline them. And then sometimes I even add in a couple more little knots, little dashes, that kind of thing, just to add to it if it maybe doesn't have quite enough. And then I fill it in with a lighter brown. And I really like just keeping adding layers. So if you see that, where you think it might be shadowed, add a darker color, and just kind of, again, work with what you got. And always remember, your blender pencil is your friend. You can kind of come in and blend all of these together so that it looks like a nice textured piece of wood. And honestly, with the wood, I try to leave in some of my pencil marks because I think that it adds, again, to that kind of rough texture of the wood. All right, let's do this door. And I'm starting with a slate gray. And this is another open stock pencil that I just picked up that I didn't have in a set. And I really like it. It's very blue, very gray, lots and lots of just kind of ambiguity in this color. It's definitely going to be one that I'm using a lot. And then this jade green. So I'm kind of using the slate gray as my shadow for the jade green door. And I'm going to kind of use the same technique on this door as I did on the woodwork, where I take the slate gray and I've just sort of outlined the lines that the artist has given us. And I'm using the same technique. So I'm just going to dirty it with just a little bit more pressure on the jade, kind of around the edges, where I think it might get the most wear and tear. And I'm just gonna make this door nice and textured, and then I'm gonna go back in with my blender pencil and blend it all together. I always do blue doors. I'm going to surprise you guys one day and do a bright red door. All right, now we're moving on to these lovely paving stones on the path over here. And these are a lot of fun. And I'm starting out with a light gray. And again, I'm kind of using that same technique that I did on the brick, where I'm just going to layer some color. And then where they overlap and where the shadow would kind of be on the lip of each one, I'm going to use a darker gray. And I'm just using very light strokes, and all of my strokes kind of go in the same direction, and I'm going to blend them towards where it overlaps, so kind of up and down. I'm not using horizontal lines here, and I just think that they blend a little bit better and it creates more of a shadow instead of a harsh line. I'm going to do the same on the pavers, and then I'm going to do another layer of shadow with a slightly lighter gray, so I'm kind of transitioning from that dark to the light with this medium warm gray. And as you'll see, it just creates a really nice 3D effect. And then I'm going to blend it all together with my blender. I love how these are coming out. The walkway here in front of the door, and I'm just going to use a whole bunch of different browns, and I'm just really doing very haphazard kind of areas so that it just sort of all blends and looks very natural. And I've given our duck friend a little shadow. It's been cast by the sun, and I'm just going to go in and use kind of this medium tone to kind of blend it together before I use my actual blender pencil. And it'll just come out like a nice little gravel dirt pathway. All right, now we're going to do the trees, and we're going to do kind of a similar technique as we just did on the gravel pathway. We're going to use a whole bunch of greens, and we're just going to fill in some areas to give it a little bit of definition. Again, nothing in nature is just one color. The light's going to hit it a little bit differently, depending on where it's coming from and what's shadowing it. So we're going to use a little bit darker color around some of these edges around the pavers and around where the trees might cast a shadow, and we're just going to keep layering and layering. Same thing on the trees. blend them all together. Then we go back in with my brown and just sort of create some shadows there as well. And now, speaking of shadow, I'm actually going to go in with my olive green and I'm going to create the shadow on the grass that the trees would create. Kind of think of it as like the reflection on water. And we'll blend the grass, all these colors together. We'll fill in some of the miscellaneous items on the porch again. We'll do the sky. And I'm just going to do a nice, very light pressure layer with my jade green. And I'm purposely going to leave some areas white. Then I'm going to go back in with my muted turquoise. And I'm going to fill in some of the sky, but leave a couple of areas where I just kind of want there to be some illusion of some cloud cover. And I'm going to blend everything but that cloud area. And you guys notice that I do kind of go back in after I blend sometimes with a color, because if you are careful, you can add layers on top of your blended area. So if you don't push super, super hard with your blender pencil, you can still kind of add to that. All right, now we are ready for the surprise that I kind of mentioned earlier. I am not happy. I let it simmer. I'm not happy with how dark the facade of this house is. So we're going to go in with our UNI-POSCA white marker, and we're going to do the grout with this marker. And it's a shake marker, so you just kind of shake it like a can of spray paint. It'll make that sound. And take the cap off very carefully, otherwise it could get a little messy. And then you just depress the tip on a piece of scrap paper and go to town. I love this marker. It's got such a nice fine tip that you can actually be very, very strategic with where you place this. And just to remind everybody, I have done a previous video on this white UNI-POSCA marker. So I did do kind of an extensive how-to on that, but just a refresher. So because this is a paint pen, you want to, especially if you're right-handed, you want to start in the upper left-hand corner so that you are not going back and forth smearing it and smudging it with the side of your hand. So if you notice, I have started in the upper left-hand corner, and I'm going to work in kind of a diagonal from left to right so that I don't have to go back in and fix anywhere. And if I do, I just need to make sure that I've kind of lifted up my hand off the page to make sure that I don't smear it. I'm really liking how this is coming out, because I think because I already put down my putty beige layer, as it's sitting on top, it's going to sort of soften this white. So if I just put it right on top of the white, it might have come out just a little bit differently. And it does look a little bit bright now, but after it dries, it's going to sort of settle and not be so bright. And I think it'll just be a lot lighter of a look for the facade of this house. And as I'm doing this, I just want to call attention to the fact that I'm leaving the black outline of each brick intact as I'm coloring this in, because that black layer is going to make it very consistent with the rest of the picture. If I had covered that up, I think it would look a little bit inconsistent with the rest. So just to make it nice and defined, I am leaving that black layer. So let's speed this up and see how it comes out. And this is our completed page. I'm so happy with it. It looks bright and cheery and very, very romantic country. I'm so happy that we were able to recover from our little color oops. We all make them, including me. I make them all the time. And it's all about how you rally and recover, and that's a good lesson in coloring and in life. So we were able to kind of make this into a happy accident, because otherwise I don't think I would have considered using the marker here, but because I had gone dark and needed to go light, using the colored pencil wasn't really going to get me there. So with the opaque marker, I was able to achieve a lighter color and kind of fix this, and it was a nice happy accident and a surprise to you and to me. So my friends, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave me a like. And down in the comments section, leave me a comment about your epic color choice fail and how you fixed it. Now on to our featured work submitted by you guys. Our first page comes from Coloring Alexandria via our Instagram. She also posted it on our Facebook group as well. And I like that she actually posted first with sort of the work in progress and asked some great questions about maybe some, things that she could do to improve the shading on the elephant, or, looking for constructive feedback. And that's really what our Facebook group is all about. And our next comes from Patty Whirls on our Facebook page. And when I was scrolling through and saw this, I actually thought that it was mine. You did such a good job. So Patty actually colored this, kind of following the Manners series from Romantic Country video series that I did on YouTube. I hope that you enjoyed this series, and I hope that you're happy with the page. If you're interested in submitting your work to be featured on one of my videos, you can do so in two ways. One, go to Instagram and post your work with either the hashtag PencilStash or @PencilStash. It will find you either way. Or you can join our Facebook coloring group. It's called PencilStash Adult Coloring Group, and we have a very nice community there of lovely, lovely people. We share ideas and trials and errors and our work, and it's a wonderful, wonderful way to kind of join an adult coloring community. I hope you will come join us. And if you want more videos, you can check out my YouTube channel. I have more videos there on a variety of topics I hope you enjoy, and I will see you next time. I have some big news. My bangs grew out. I'm very, very happy. Happy camper.